Right, this is a phone conversation with David Jefferies of WS Atkins. It's the 4th of February 2013. Hello?
Hello?
Hello, is that David Jefferies?
Yeah.
Yeah, hello David, it's Mark Wyatt.
Hi, Mark.
Hello there, how are we doing?
I keep looking through this, and I can't see that there is anything that we can do to possibly help you, unfortunately.
Well, it's not.
You'll see.
Well, it's like I keep on telling you, David, it's not what you can do for me, it's what I'm going to do for you. Because if I don't get satisfaction here, if I don't get a situation where Atkins are saying that they didn't produce that plan, I'm going to have to come to Atkins and ask Atkins why that plan is so inaccurate.
I think that is what you will have to do, because we are unable to give you a statement that says we did not produce it, because we don't have the original copies of it.
Well, I do. And let me just say this, that the county council, the solicitor at the county council, Nick Graham, does have the original copy of the base plan, or what he's saying was the original copy of the base plan. Well, that is an impossibility, because you produced the base plan in May 1998. Now his base plan is dated 22nd of January 1999. Now, you didn't produce that.
Yeah.
So
your issue is with the council rather than with us.
At the moment. But like I said to you, that the problem is here is that the chief executive of the county council has said that her officers never produced Plan C. Never had anything to do with it. Yeah, and yet I've got a letter. I've got
statements from them saying that they did.
Well, I've got a letter from their deputy head of legal services and a letter from the head of legal services saying that Mrs. Coyne and Mr. Pennell, who were officers of Oxford County Council at the time, did do the drawing. Now, what I said to you last time was that what's happened here, I think, is that Jerry Axford, at the time, was obviously very busy on projects. What happened at the planning inquiry was that an inspector requested a plan to be produced. I think Jerry and Atkins at the time probably never had the time to do it, and so what they did is they passed information to Susie Coyne in the form of a title block, and possibly the base plan itself, or what was their base plan at the time. And Mrs. Coyne has adapted that and produced Plan C. Now, the problem for you is that Plan C carries your title block on it. And what I can tell you now is that plan is wholly inaccurate. The title on the title block states that it's based on OS contours, and yet the contours don't match the OS plan. The boundaries on that site are not correct. They don't fit the OS base, and the lake void that's been placed on that plan is put on that plan in the wrong place. So if you're quite happy to accept that you did that, I'll just issue legal proceedings and we can go from there, and we'll contact your insurers, and we'll go from there. But the problem for you is that litigation went on for 7 years. Now, where your plan was involved in that litigation, and it will be a considerable amount of money that you'll have to pay out. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking millions, not hundreds of thousands, but probably millions in consequential damages. So, if you want to go down that road, fine.
Yeah. Well, I think having talked to our legal department, they feel that that's the only road that we can go down.
What? So you're quite happy to take the responsibility for the plan?
sure how you're going to say that this is our plan. You have a plan which has an Atkins title block on.
Yeah.
But you're telling us that has been produced by somebody else anyway, and you're saying you have the proof of
What I want to ask you, one of the questions that will be asked of yourselves is how did the officer at the county council get hold of that title block? If it's a WS Atkins title block, how did the officer at the county council get hold of that title block? She didn't make it up herself. It's a bona fide WS Atkins title block. So can you tell me how she got hold of it?
But I think what you're saying really is that there is a title block on there which is dated the 22nd of January 1999.
Well, it was actually drawn on the 20th, and it was signed off by Mr. Axford on the 22nd. And yet your original base plan that you produced for the site at Waterstock is dated May 1998. Now I know that because I've got your original files. I've got copies of Atkins' original files, if you like, and they were files that Jerry Axford gave to us.
Yeah.
So I've got all of the information that I need to be able to prove what I'm saying is correct. Now, if
that doesn't mean that Atkins didn't draw another plan in January 1999, which has subsequently been amended by.
Okay, so let's just play that one out. If Atkins produced a plan in 1999, were Atkins using CAD at that stage?
I really couldn't tell you.
Well, I would say that they were, because CAD was around in 1999. You're a professional surveying and engineering company. You were more than likely using CAD. Now, you produced a lake void survey in 1997. You surveyed the void in 1997. That was put on CAD, so it was around at that point. You then you obviously had the site on surveyed because you produced the base plan in 1998. All you had to do was put the lake void on that base plan accurately. Now, would Atkins cut and paste a lake void off of one plan, so a paper cutout, and stick it on tracing paper in the wrong place? And then would Atkins then put their own title block on that tracing paper, a paper cutout of their own title block on that tracing paper?
We wouldn't put a paper cutout on tracing paper.
Well, that is what is on the base plan. And at the moment, the base plan is supposed to be an Atkins drawings as well. So what I'm saying to you is, you can either play this straight and say, look, actually, we didn't produce the base plan, and I don't think we produced Plan C either. Or I go to court and I say, right, I've got the base plan here. I'll request the plan from Oxford County Council, the base plan that's supposed to be your plan. I'll request that. I'll get that. I've already got a Freedom of Information request in for that. I've seen it. Other people have seen it and photographed it. I've got copies of Plan C, and I'll just take those to court, and we'll just see where we go with it. Because there's no way. I mean, I'm not stupid, and I know that there's no way that Atkins would need to cut and paste their own title block onto a tracing paper drawing, and then there's no way that they would put a lake void on a drawing in the wrong place. They just wouldn't do it by cut and paste. You'd put it into a CAD program, and then just put it on the drawing in the right place. You're not that amateurish.
Well, what you're saying all sounds very reasonable. The issue that we have is that without those records ourselves...
Well, like I said to you, I've got them. Now, the only thing I haven't got at the moment, but the county council do have it at the moment, their solicitor, Nick Graham, has got a copy of the base plan. Now you may want to request that off of him and say, look, I understand you've got a copy of the base plan, it's got our title block on it, can we have a look at it, because I don't think we produced it. There's no way that you would, why would Atkins have to cut and paste a title block off of a paper copy and stick it on onto tracing paper? Why would you need to do that?
From what you're saying, it sounds fairly cut and dried that somebody has produced this at a point in time for a particular reason. Just reading through your documentation, I've been trying to go through this today. It's talking about enforcement notices A, B, and C.
Yeah, A, B, and C were just enforcement notices that showed different areas of a site. There were three enforcement.
So what I was going to say, were there three different drawings in respect of?
There were three. There were three different drawings, but I think those drawings were produced again by Mrs. Coyne, because they were the paper.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. So was Plan C relating to enforcement notice C, and there was Plans A and B relating to enforcement notices A and B?
That's right. Yes. So what happened was A and B enforcement notices only covered certain areas on the site. C actually covered the whole area, and that's why Plan C was used, because it incorporated all of the area, if you like. So yeah.
It would seem to suggest that whoever's called it Plan C had tallied it into the enforcement notice.
Yes.
That's what I was thinking.
That's what had happened, and that person who was organising all that and doing all that for the county council was Susie Coyne. Now, what she's admitted to is that she produced what she says, she calls it in her witness statement, a paper copy. Well, the paper copy is Plan C. That is what it is. What she's saying is that you produced the base plan. So what she's saying is you produced the tracing where the lake void is in the wrong place, and you cut and pasted your own title block onto that tracing paper, which I find incredible, that anybody would think that Atkins would do or need to do such a thing. So she said she's put the base plan down to you, and then she's produced the paper copies, and then for some unbelievable reason she's admitted that she's changed or adapted Plan C, and no one has pulled her up for the fraud, because if she's produced Plan C or adapted it or changed it in any way, unless there's anything on that plan to say that she's done that, either from yourselves or from the county council, what she's done is put that into court and tried to carry it off as the drawing produced by you. Now, when that was done in '99, the Wyatts, us if you like, never questioned that drawing, because of you have quality assured standards that you have to work to, and Atkins are a very well-known company. There's just no way that you would put in a drawing that is inaccurate.
No, but you subsequently discovered in 2005 that that drawing was inaccurate.
Well, it is highly inaccurate. It wouldn't take me 2 minutes to show you why it is inaccurate. I've got an ordnance survey base. I've got the ordnance survey base. If you put that plan on top of the base, it just doesn't fit. None of the boundaries fit. You can't set it up against any of the known features on the site, the roundabout, the river, the bridleway. There's nothing on it that will fit. The lake void is in the wrong place, and the contours on it are wrong. I mean, what the problem was, I think, David, is that Susie Coyne went to Jerry Atsford and said, look, this is a plan called What 9. It was a plan that was produced by our landscape architect. He put it into a planning for a planning application, just on the basis that it would show what could be achieved. That's what he envisaged happening to the site. What it didn't it never was supposed to purport was the actual contours. Now I think Mrs. Coyne is because she's very was inexperienced, I guess, or unqualified. What she never did was check those contours against the Ordnance Survey contours, because if she had done, she'd have realised that they were just interpolated and they weren't the actual OS contours. Now on Plan C, your title block says it's a drawing showing the OS contours. Well, it's not, because the contours on it don't relate to the OS contours. They're not. They're wrong. They're misplaced.
Yeah, but that's come from your guy in the first place.
Well, it came from our guy in the first place, and I'll tell you what. But the problem with that is our guy never gave permission for Susie Coyne or the county council to use that drawing as an engineering drawing, and I've got that in writing, that he never did that. He never knew that they'd used that drawing as the engineering drawing, or in fact the enforcement plan, until probably after 2005. So Mrs. Coyne had no right to be able to just use. I mean, the reason that she did use that drawing at the inquiry, or tried to use it as an inquiry, is because she never had a drawing herself. So she just used a drawing that she thought was accurate. But when she handed it to Jerry, if you like, to produce the base plan from, Jerry obviously never checked it against the Ordnance Survey, or it never was handed to Jerry, and she just produced it herself.
Yeah, myself.
I mean, Atkins are in between a rock and a hard place. I can see that, because at the moment you've got a plan that's got your title block on it, and it's wrong, massively wrong. And you're having a job to explain how that come about. I can understand that, but the problem here is that I'm afraid Jerry Axford and Susie Coyne got a little bit too close, and there was just passing of information willy-nilly, and that would have been okay if what she produced was accurate. No one would have known any different. But I'm afraid, because the plan was so inaccurate, it's caused massive problems for my family.
Why have you not been able to demonstrate this inaccuracy
Because
subsequent to 2006?
Because the courts weren't necessarily interested in the accuracy of the plan. Believe it or not, they've come to their decisions without actually looking at whether or not the plan is accurate or not. I mean, the plan was.
Have you not been challenging that?
Well, we didn't know prior to November 2005, or just after November 2005, that plan wasn't a W.S. Atkins plan. That's why we never challenged it, because we just assumed it was accurate.
But you've then had what, seven years?
Well, let me just say, what happened in 2006 is the plan got changed. In the High Court, it went to the High Court in 2006, and a judge at the High Court said that he wouldn't rule on the impossibility issue. He said that he thought that he didn't think that the plan was so wrong that it was impossible to carry out, and that's because he didn't understand that it couldn't be set out. There were infinite ways in which you could interpret your plan. And so what happened in 2006 was the plan was changed, and the whole sort of fraud thing fell away to a certain degree. But the problem was that the contours on the plan, when it was changed by their new expert, Mr. Davey, that the contours remain the same. And the problem with the contours is that because they're wrong, any calculations based on the contours are also wrong.
Have you not had your own expert to...
Well, yeah, our expert has been saying it's been wrong since 2006, and the county council have been fighting that, or were fighting it, since 2006. Now, in 2012, their own expert says actually there is the one main. He called it the one main error, which was the 60 contour. The 60 contour on the plan is completely misaligned. Well, his one main error, I'm afraid, is not correct, because the 65 and the 70 contour on it are also misplaced. Now, any calculations...
But from what I'm understanding here, you have evidence that shows that the drawings are wrong, and therefore surely that is...
Yeah, but we
challenge.
Yeah, I have evidence that, well, I know that the drawings are wrong. I mean, Plan B is wrong, and that was the one that's supposed to be corrected. Plan C is hopelessly wrong, and that's the one that you're supposed to have produced. And the problem, the root cause of all this, is that a plan was produced by Atkins, if you like, or Coin or Oxfordshire County Council with the contours in the wrong place, and everything is stemmed from that. Now, up until about 3 weeks ago, the county council, I mean, they were saying, well, you know, Mrs. Coyne may have done this, and Mrs. Coyne may have done that. Well, now I've got a statement from the county council's chief executive saying, actually, no, none of our officers did anything on that plan, and that drops it squarely in your lap.
Yeah.
Now, like I said,
what I'm saying is that what you are trying to do here is to prove that that plan is wrong, and you're telling me that there is factual evidence on the basis of the actual ordnance survey.
Yeah, I am. But the problem is,
and therefore that's where you ought to be concentrating your efforts, surely.
No, my
improving that it is wrong.
No, my efforts at the moment are in proving that there's a fraud being committed by Oxfordshire County Council in producing that plan. Now, because that plan has been put into court by their lawyers and by their experts. Now, if Atkins are happy to have gone along with that fraud, so be it. You know, I'll have to take Atkins to court and say, look, how did Mrs. Coyne get hold of this title block? Because it's I mean, you would have got paid for that drawing, by the way, as well. So there is documentation to say that you actually got paid for that drawing. Now, if Atkins got paid for it, well, I know that there's we inquired about this, and Atkins weren't playing ball with us way back when. They were saying, oh no, our records have been we don't keep records that long, and well, we've archived them and we can't find anything. Well, it doesn't surprise me that you can't find anything for Plan C, because I don't think you produced Plan C, but you certainly produced the base plan. Now, you'd have got paid for the base plan in '98. I'm guessing. I don't know how long it would have been that you got paid for that plan, but you'd have been paid for it in '98. Now, if you did any more work in 1999, i.e. you produced a tracing with your paper cut out of the title block and the lake void in the wrong place, I'd be amazed also, because I don't think that you did it. But like I say, at the moment, all I've got is that the chief exec saying, actually no, our officers never did any work on that drawing. Now you may want to look for.
We wouldn't invoice to say for doing a particular drawing. So that's what I say. That I can't see that anybody anywhere has any evidence that we have been paid for doing or not doing a drawing.
Well, the evidence is your name on the title block. That's all the evidence I think I need. You know, when I've got a title block of W.S. Atkins, that's whose drawing it is, unless you tell me different.
Yeah, I'm not sure that we can, because that's the discussion that I've been having with our legal people, that there is nothing that we can say in respect to that.
Okay, so you're quite happy to stand the inaccuracy of this drawing, are you?
We're not standing by the accuracy or inaccuracy of it. As I say, you're asking us to provide you with information that says we haven't produced the drawing.
Right. Well, you provided information to say that accordingly we couldn't confirm whether you produced it or not. So
I think that's as much as we can say in respect of this.
So I just take you to court then, do I? Because it's inaccurate.
Well, I think, as you've been asked before, if you can put in writing what we've done wrong.
Well, I wanted to come and show you what you've done wrong. It's easier to just come and show you the plan and say, right, put this on an ordnance survey base. Tell me if this is right, because it's not. I mean, I've had my own.
That's what I'm saying to you. If you can prove that is wrong, then that is a matter of fact, and that is what you ought to be going back to resolve your issues with the council over. That it is factually incorrect, and you would have an expert who would
Well, no.
demonstrate that was factually incorrect, and the courts would rule on whether it was factually correct or incorrect.
But once I get a ruling then that it is factually incorrect, what do I do? Contact your insurance company?
You need to come back to us and tell us what we've done wrong and why we're liable to you in respect of that.
Okay, all right. So the fact that the fact that the county council's expert has already said that the lake void is in the wrong place and the contours are wrong on it, is that what you want? Because they have already said that.
I don't really see what else I can say. You want to come and show me some copies of old drawings and tell me that they're wrong. What would you like me to do about that? There's nothing I can do.
What I want.
All you're going to be doing is showing me a copy of something that you're already telling me you've got proof is wrong.
Yeah, but what I've also got is information that shows that you didn't do it, and I can give you that information.
But if you've got that information, then that just backs up your case against the council.
Well,
and we can't tell you whether that information is right or wrong because we haven't been party to that information.
Well, you have because Jerry Axford was party to it when he was working for your company. So yes, Atkins were party to it because there's no way that anybody could have got the title block to this drawing from anywhere else other than your company.
They could have cut it off one of our other drawings and altered it.
Well, yeah, but how did they get the other drawings?
Because Oxford would have copies of our drawings in respect of this. If we had produced drawings in respect of this back in what you're saying 98, 99 anyway, we would have been doing those on behalf of Oxford County Council, and we would have been providing them with copies of them.
Okay.
Therefore, they would have the copies that they would be able to cut these things off.
Okay, was it?
If that's what you say happens.
Well,
I've got no proof that anybody has done anything.
Well, tell me something. Is it the case that Atkins are quite happy then for unqualified officers of Oxford County Council to alter drawings that you produce?
I don't know because I don't know the basis of your accusations or the basis of our contract with Oxford at that time. But I am told that the police discussed this with Jerry Axford some years ago and were satisfied with his response.
Well, no, because they weren't looking at Jerry Axford at the time. They were looking at Susie Coyne, and what they said is Susie Coyne produced that drawing fraudulently. But it was a case of what they considered to be a case of civil fraud at the time. Now, what that may change into is criminal fraud, because they weren't aware of the financial gain that Mrs. Coyne got through doing those drawings as a consultant working for Oxford County Council. Now, I'm not quite sure at the moment how Jerry Axford would stand, either in a civil sense or a criminal sense, as far as passing information to an officer of the county council so that she could produce drawings.
Well, I don't know that he has passed information to her so she can produce drawings.
Right. Okay.
And I don't believe that you know that either.
Well, I've got what you're forgetting is I've got the files from W.S. Atkins, so be very careful what you think I believe.
Yeah.
I've got all of the files at the time that were given to us from Jerry Axford.
Yeah. Well, yeah, if you want to photocopy those and send them in to us, we're quite happy to look through them.
Yeah. No, I think I should keep.
What you think the issues are.
Yeah. Well, the issues are that the plan that I'm looking at is highly inaccurate, and it's been used to calculate volumes of material on that site. In fact, Jerry Axford calculated volumes of material on that site using this Plan C, against what was there at the time, a survey that was done at the time. Now that was the figures that he came up with are also highly inaccurate, because what Mr. Axford didn't do, or didn't disclose to doing, is allowing any sort of tolerance to his figures. Now he'd have known, as I'm sure you do, there's a tolerance figure associated when you calculate volumes of material using Ordnance Survey contours, and it's quite a big one. It's around a 1¼ meters if the contours are accurate. Now if the contours aren't accurate, it's anything up to anything in between the contours. So and they're 5 meters apart.
So did you not have this land surveyed prior to doing the work?
No.
Did you not have a level survey undertaken prior to doing any work?
No, we didn't, because it wasn't something that was required at the time when we were building that golf course. There was never any requirement by the county council to have a survey done. There is now. I think everything that you do now, you do have to have a survey done prior to it, but there was never one done prior to us doing any of the work on the site. So all that you're basing your figures against is what the Ordnance Survey contours were at the time, against the survey that was carried out after the material had been deposited on the site. And so any figures that you, like I say, you come up with, you have to account for a tolerance of at least 1¼ meters if the contours are accurate. Well, it's
these are all factual things that if you had an expert involved on your side, he would be using in your test.
Well, he's already put that in, and that's not been looked at by the courts yet on the latest plan. They haven't looked at the plan C yet. As far as accuracy is concerned, no one's considered the accuracy of Plan C yet, or in fact the later plan. No, that hasn't come up in court. I mean, it's just been taken by the court that those plans are accurate. Well, they're not.
But why have you not been challenging the accuracy of these plans?
Because we didn't know between 1999 and 2005 that it wasn't inaccurate. It was inaccurate.
But you've known for 7 years, since 2005, that this plan is inaccurate, and you've not challenged it.
Well, because
that's why I'm struggling.
Well, because the plan got changed. Like I say, the plan got changed from C to B, and we.
But surely, knowing that the previous one was inaccurate, you would still employ your own experts to check that the revised plan was accurate.
Yeah, and what happened was our expert got together with the county council's latest expert, and they produced another plan where they corrected the borders, but both of them, and I think that it's quite embarrassing for both of them really. Both of them kept the same contours as it is on Plan C. They didn't alter the contours.
I think your case really is against your expert, who has failed to protect your interests.
Well, no, our case is against, firmly and squarely, I believe, against Susie Coyne for producing fraudulent plans in the first place. It's against the county council.
But surely your case is against your expert, who has produced inaccurate information when he has revised those plans.
Yeah, they will be party to it, yeah, definitely. And I dare say they will get drawn into it, and so will the county council's latest expert, Jonathan Davey. But this all stems from an inaccurate drawing that was produced supposedly by W.S. Atkins, purporting to show, it actually says on the drawing, original OS contour survey. Well, the contours on this survey that I'm looking at, this drawing, aren't the original OS contours. And so...
No, that's I think as far as we can go on this, isn't it? But that's all we know.
Well, no, I know quite a bit more than that, because like I said to you, I've got information, I've got letters from the county council's legal department saying that their officers produced it. And that's why I can't quite understand why you're so against saying that you didn't produce it. If I can show you evidence that says that their officers produced it, what's the problem?
Well, all you're going to do is show me statements from their officers that say they produced
No,
it.
it's not just their officers. It's the deputy and the head of their legal services department.
Hmm.
I mean, that's a little bit different to just a plain officer. When you say when you've got, and I can also show you a statement from the person that actually produced the drawing saying they changed it and amended it.
But that's only going to show me that you have some paperwork of these people saying that they produced it. It's not going to enable me or anybody within Atkins to write a statement saying that we didn't produce it. All it's going to enable us to do is to say, based on what you have shown us, it would suggest that those parties did exactly as they say in their letters.
Well, let's have a statement that says that then.
But that doesn't add anything to your case,
Well,
because you've already got.
It does. No, what I've got is a letter from Atkins saying that accordingly we can't confirm whether Atkins produced it or not. Well, if I can show you letters that say that that Mrs. Coyne and Mr. Pennell produced an amended Plan C, that's what I want from you. I want a statement saying we have seen evidence to suggest that Mrs. Coyne and Adrian Pennell produced an adapted Plan C, and therefore we confirm that we're not responsible for the drawing. That's what I want.
And I don't believe that we can go that far.
Why not?
Because of what my legal department are telling me.
Because of what your legal department. So are they unable to sort of read black and white information? What's stopping you from saying that then? If I can show you documentation that says that. I mean, tell me. I mean,
I'm being asked, but if you plan to sue us, can you tell us what you're going to sue us for? And then we will be in a position to provide a response.
Well, I'm not saying I haven't said I'm going to sue you yet. What I'm saying to you is that I want a letter confirming that you never produced Plan C.
Yeah.
Now, once
we're
I get,
not able to provide you with that.
So I've got to assume then that you did produce Plan C.
You can assume what you would like to assume, but you know, if you keep telling me that you have the evidence that we didn't produce it.
Well, yeah, and like I said, I was willing to. Well, you've seen the website. I mean, what does Nick Graham's letter say?
It says that they produced it.
Right. So why can't you say you never did?
Well, I don't see why you need that, because you've already got them saying that they did produce it.
Well,
I have no knowledge of this project, and neither does anybody else that is now employed by Atkins.
Yeah,
really.
but you can contact Jerry Axford. You told me the other day you know where he works.
I know where he works, but he's not going to be willing to get involved in this from what I've been told.
Right. So he realises he's part.
He doesn't. Unfortunately, he doesn't owe Atkins anything. So.
Well, it's not a question of owing Atkins something. I mean, if I decide to take this to court, he has to go to court whether or not he owes Atkins something or not.
Yeah.
You know, he got no choice in the matter. Because I'll make sure he is there.
Yeah. Well, so I'm very sorry, but I don't see there's anything more that we can do.
Okay. Who is it in your legal department that's dealing with this?
It's me that's dealing with this.
So you're the lawyer then?
I'm the person responsible for dealing with this matter.
So are you the lawyer or not?
No, I'm not a lawyer.
Okay. So who in your legal department then do I need to speak to?
There is no one in our legal department. It will be dealt with by external lawyers.
Okay. So who can you give me a name of these external lawyers? Because I want to contact them.
No, because we will appoint somebody to represent us at the appropriate time.
Okay, so everything is sent to you then, is it, David Jefferies?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And what's your job title at Atkins, David?
commercial manager.
Commercial manager. Okay. All right. And you're not. Well, just to clear it up, you're not prepared to meet. And you want me to go ahead and issue legal proceedings in?
We want you to put in writing what you plan to sue us for and why we would be liable for that.
But how are you going to know that if you've not seen the plan? That's the whole reason for me wanting to come and meet you and show you the plan. As soon as you see the plan, I think you will change. Your opinion will change.
Mm.
I mean, I'm amazed that you're saying what you are, given that what I've told you about the base plan. I mean, it's a plan on tracing paper. The lake void's in the wrong place, and the title block has been cut and pasted on there from another drawing.
Yeah, and I fully understand what you're saying, and I'm very sympathetic to your plight, but it's not going to prove or disprove whether we produced it, and we're not going to be able to give you a written statement saying that we did not produce it.
Okay, so then you're liable for it, aren't you? At the end of the day, that's what you're saying.
No, I'm not saying that we're liable for it. I'm saying that it would need a substantial amount of time investigating it.
Well, I think it'd take about. I think it'd take
considerable costs.
Well, I think it'd take about 5 minutes, to be honest, involving very little cost.
No, you're talking about you can show me what you have, but we would have to try and uncover original records dating back some 15 years now.
Well, that's interesting that you say that you can do that, because when I phoned last year, you said you never had any records.
I don't believe that we would be able to find any records, because legally we only need to keep records for 6 or 12 years, depending on how we entered into a contract.
Yeah, that's right. So if you've got no records, you're not going to be able to find it, are you? And subsequently, I've got a drawing with your name on it, and you produced it. Okay, all right. Well, I'll have a chat with the powers that be, and then. So I write to you, do I?
Yes.
And what's your address?
If you write to our Oxford office.
What, in Ensham?
Yeah.
And who do I write to there?
If you address it to me, that's at that office.
Okay, so David Jefferies. And what is the Oxford office address? Do you know?
Chilbrook, isn't it?
Chilbrook. Ensham, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on the internet.
Okay, I'll find it. All right. Well, I'll drop you well, I won't, but probably our lawyers will drop you a note, and then we'll take it from there.
Okay.
All right, David.
Well, sorry I can't be of any more help.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye bye.